this week's episode, we find the ideal weekend car under the 150,000 Rand mark.
We go in search of a 7-seater within a 400,000 Rand budget.
And we take a closer look at a Nissan Qashqai experiencing rough idle.
Hello and welcome to Buyer's Guide, the show that is dedicated to providing you with invaluable guidance when it comes to buying, selling or maintaining a vehicle. Joining us in studio this week to help answer those tricky automotive questions, Martin Pretorius from motortalk.co.za and Pogiso Dibokane from Pogiso Electronics. How's it, guys?
Hello,
back
guys.
again. Good to see you back again.
Nice
Yeah.
to be back.
And Adam just loves singing your name. If you have a question for the team, you can send it to buyer'sguide@ignitiontv.co.za or you can pop us a DM on Instagram @ignitiontv. And please give us as much information as possible, including a nice picture of yourself. All right, gentlemen, let's just get into our first question, and it comes from Tebogo. She has a budget of 150,000 Rand and is considering a car that comes with a motor warranty and will be serviced annually. The car will primarily be used on weekends for both short and long trips. Which vehicle would be the best buy? Now, gentlemen, 150 grand, she wants a warranty with it. Hey? She waking up on the right side of the bed?
Well, look, probably she is working on the right side of the bed because for that money and with the warranty, you're looking at your Hyundai products because they will come with the 7-year warranty at 200 Ks.
200,000 kilometers, yeah.
Yeah. So I would say maybe an i10 would fit into that budget and that package.
Great little
Great
car.
little car.
Yeah.
What do you think,
Kia
Martin?
Picanto.
Kia Picanto, which is
Yeah,
basically an
sister
i10
car,
with a Kia
yeah.
badge.
Yeah.
Yeah, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Same sort of thing. So those are great little cars to run around in.
Also, possibly late model, current generation Suzuki Celerio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really nice little car. It feels grown up, it's capable of tackling longer trips. Good safety features and so on. So
Will you get a Toyota Vitz in that?
well,
Well, Vitz is too new, I think, yeah.
well, you can
But
probably
it's the
get
same
a Vitz.
car,
You
isn't
can
it?
probably get a
150.
Vitz for similar money. Yeah, you'd likely use 2-3 years old.
You guys make a good point about longer warranties in cars, because if you find, let's say you find a 3-year-old car and the manufacturer's got a 7-year warranty or whatever, you've got a warranty with it.
Will an
Some warranty.
espresso be not good enough for her?
Espresso?
Suzuki?
Yeah.
Not the drink, espresso?
Yeah.
She'll get a late model one for even later with
Well,
more,
they came out brand
more
new at
warranty.
189, so now second hand you'd find them. And they're actually not a bad little car. Actually,
Yeah,
I
but
think
Celerio is so much better.
the Celerio is better than the Espresso.
Celerio is so much better than Espresso, and it's not that much more expensive.
Yeah, same mechanicals as well.
Same mechanicals, but it's a larger, more substantial car. It feels more grown up. It has more space, larger luggage compartment, better refinement, for not that much of a price premium. So between Espresso and Celerio, Celerio definitely.
Okay, well that's a
Okay.
great option. Do you agree with that, or
Well,
are you still
look-
going to stick with your i10?
I'm going to stick with the i10. The coffee that Sergio has come up with, it's not really going to cut it. I mean, it's too small.
Yeah.
But it's potent, eh? Espresso, have you had an
If I'm,
espresso recently?
if I'm driving past it, it's
No,
going to shake.
We're not talking about something for you.
There's a couple of options there,
Yeah.
and a couple of good options there to have a look at that sort of price point. So go around, have a look, and see which one suits you.
But no matter how cheap it is, don't buy a quid.
Don't buy that car that
Oof.
Martin mentioned. I can't even talk about that car. Norman has a budget slightly less than the one we've just discussed of 140,000 Rand. And he's considering purchasing a 2013 Mercedes-Benz C180 Avant-Garde Edition C. It's only got 135,000 k's on the clock. He's seeking advice on whether this would be a good purchase within that budget of 140,000. Pogiso?
Well, look, he's going to look good in it. You do get those vehicles. They're
Yeah.
very good. That is the price range of the 204s,
Yeah.
which they call the big badges. So it's a very nice car to drive. I would say yes, go for it.
As long as you understand the pitfalls. What are the pitfalls, Martin?
Well, I mean, this is a 204, but it's a facelift 204.
Yeah.
So, you don't buy an old Merc in the pre-facelift form. You buy the facelifted version
Yeah.
because those are properly debugged.
Yeah.
I agree that's the right one to buy. Just budget an extra 15,000 for the timing chain,
And gears.
for
Yeah.
the timing gears, the cam drive.
15,000. I'm going to send all my customers cars with
Yeah, to you.
because I can't do them.
I can't do it for 15. More like 20, 25K.
It's tough to
More like
figure
30.
You must understand that you're buying,
You're right.
Yeah.
you're
I
buying
just-
a premium
This
car.
is a family show. We don't want to kill anybody with the pricing,
Yeah.
you know. But like 25 to 30K is what it
Okay,
needs
all right,
to keep.
all right.
It's a premium vehicle, so
Yeah.
you're going to pay premium repairs.
Yeah.
But a lot of those vehicles doing very high mileage and good, reliable cars. But like any European car, and in specifically German cars, they are designed to be
serviced.
maintained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you neglect the maintenance, it's going to break on you, things are going to fail. But if you maintain the vehicle, it should last you a long time. You know, we've mentioned a couple of the pitfalls of those vehicles in terms of timing chain failures. One of the problems you're going to get on those cars, every single W204 Mercedes will do this. You'll get into the car, put your key in, nothing will happen.
Yes.
Yes.
Everything's on, but my car won't start.
No, it won't even go on, nothing will happen. Turn the key, nothing happens. No.
Put it out, put it back in.
Put it out, you know, nothing happens because
Your steering lock is.
the steering lock will fail. That's a very, very common failure on those cars. There is a way around it, but it's not cheap. You just got to understand that these are the little things that you got to look out for. I mean, I suppose every single car we could mention, there's this problem, that problem. That's just something to consider. I think they're great cars. I actually prefer them to any of the other German cars.
Yeah.
Mercedes C-Class, they make good cars. There's quite a choice of them around because you can go out and find 50 at different dealers and make a choice on that. And also the people who drive those cars, again, tend to look after them. They tend to be maintained well. So in terms of your question, yes, it's a good buy. Go out and find a decent one and buy it.
Yeah.
I'd actually go further than that. I'd say this W204 facelift, one of the last ones like this one, is, in my opinion, preferable to the 205.
Yeah.
To the next gen
The
model.
first 205s.
Yeah,
Yes.
the first 205.
Yes.
This is a better car than the one that
Like
replaced
Adam always says, the facelifted ones have already, all the problems have
They've
already
been
been
Yeah.
resolved.
I was just going to say what Martin said there is very, very important. When manufacturers produce a new car, they don't know what sort of problems are going to come up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And within time, those little issues and that get resolved over the manufacture of the car. Then they bring the facelift out. So the facelift is normally just headlights, tail lights, maybe a little bit of prettiness to keep it going in the market. The mechanicals now have all been sorted out. So the best ones to buy are the last of the previous generation.
Yes.
Yep.
So like now, as an example, they brought out an X3, the new BMW X3, which has just hit the market. Beautiful looking car, great and everything. Just go buy the GO1 version because they've sorted everything out there.
Yeah.
You don't know what
All the
problem's gonna come
recalls
with it.
and all that.
I'm not saying it's going to be a problem car, but it's just an example. Always buy the last of the previous generation. You always find those cars.
I sold my house, couldn't afford one.
Yeah.
But I think there's something that you mentioned about this particular vehicle, about the people that drive them.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is no stand-ins here. There's no an old topi that's going to drop the suspension.
Yes, yes.
This particular vehicle.
No
No.
23-year-olds driving.
No.
Especially a C180.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're talking C63, that's a different story. But this is the run-of-the-mill, everyday car, and I like them. I think they're really good.
So you guys are knocking the old topics.
Yes.
Stay tuned because after the break we go in search of a 7-seater within a 400,000 Rand budget.
And we help a viewer find the right bakkie for his furniture business. Welcome back to Buyer's Guide. Charles, who's 51 from the Eastern Cape, has a budget of 400,000 Rand. He's considering the Volvo XC90 D5. He wants advice on the service and maintenance, and he needs a smaller 7-seater to replace his Hyundai H1, which he plans to sell privately. Plans to keep the car for at least 8 years. What do you think, Martin?
I don't buy the diesel.
Why not?
If you're only going to do 10,000 kilos a year, that means short distance trips will be the main usage pattern for these things. And the diesel, the modern diesel with a diesel particulate filter, does not enjoy short distance driving.
Take it out, throw it away, put it, delete it.
Good luck.
Yeah, on the Volvo.
DPF delete.
Delete
Have
your
you
DPF.
seen the Swedish electronics complain the moment you try and touch anything on that
Christmas
emissions
tree.
control system? So no, I say yes, go by all means buy an XC90, but rather look for a T5,
Yeah.
a petrol version of the same thing. The diesel will only start saving on fuel once you frequently take it on the open road. But in all other instances, it will be more expensive to maintain, it will be more expensive to run, and short distance driving kills a diesel engine in no time.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, he's not doing a lot of mileage on it.
Yeah.
so
That's the thing.
it's
You know,
it's about
I've got a
point.
question for you guys. I want to know a smaller vehicle that can seat seven adults comfortably. Don't tell me put the short adults right in the back. I want to know. Tell me which vehicle that is. Can seat 7 adults comfortably.
Suzuki Ertiga.
No, he said adults, not 5 adults and 2 young children.
You can fit 5 adults into it.
7.
You're just not gonna
He wants a
get there very
7-seater.
quickly.
So 7-seater for me means 7 adults comfortably.
Yeah,
There isn't one.
there isn't one.
This is the problem
There
with that
isn't.
sort of budget of 400,000 rand.
So for me, he must keep his H1 bus.
Actually, yes.
He should keep his H1
Yeah.
bus. He's doing 10,000 kilometers a year. He uses his 400K to maintain his H1 bus.
The problem is we don't know the condition of the H1 bus. It could have done 700,000 Ks and it's on the end of its life.
That's true too. That's why we continuously say provide as much information as possible.
Yeah, but he plans. He
If he's
needs
doing
something
10,000
smaller.
Ks a year, I don't think his H1 has got a lot of mileage.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you see this, he's talking about the XC90 doing 10,000 Ks a year. Didn't talk about the Hyundai H1. You mentioned the Ertiga, which is not a bad option. Depends on who's sitting in the back seat.
Yeah.
The other one there to look at is the Honda BRV. The BRV is also
Yeah.
it's quite spacious.
Because it's on Mobilio underneath.
It's a what?
It's a Honda Mobilio.
Well, okay. Mobilio,
It's a
BRV,
van.
it's the same thing. It's a van, yeah. Any input from you, Pugiso?
Well, look, I would still stick with the Volvo. I mean, obviously he's going to get an older version of Volvo, maybe a 2017 or 2018. But obviously these cars are not cheap to maintain. They're very expensive to maintain. As
Then give
Martin
my
said,
idea onto the Campbell
the diesel
cost.
is, they're very, very expensive. And electronics
Look,
on these vehicles are not cheap.
It's a premium car. So
Yeah.
an XC90 will compete with things like a Q7. They'll compete with an X5.
X5, yeah.
All of these cars, premium cars, no matter what they are, expensive to maintain. I do find the XC90 is actually not a bad car in terms of reliability. If you're only doing 10,000 kilometers a year, often, like I mentioned on the show, have your vehicle serviced more regularly. Do it once a year or every 10,000 kilometers. On the gearboxes on those cars, every 60,000, as per the manufacturer's recommendation. Have the gearbox oils changed.
All-wheel drive system.
Yeah, and then, as Martin says, short trips on a diesel aren't great for it. So it depends on the kind of driving you do. He may do 10,000 Ks a year, but he may be doing, every time he takes it out, it's 500 Ks. We're not too sure. But just take those into consideration. Have a look at the petrol version if you're thinking of that. But it's a great car. I like those XC90s. They're comfortable. They've got lots of features on them.
Probably the best seats you can find anywhere.
Yeah.
The seats, as Martin says,
Oh.
those are the best seats in the market.
Yeah.
And their sound systems.
Yes.
Even the standard factory sound system. Dude, Sagi, you'd love it.
I'd love it, eh?
Love a ring ding ding going on.
There we go.
Okay.
Let's pick on the Indian again. George runs a furniture delivery business in Cape Town and is looking for a bakkie within a 550,000 rand budget. Shouldn't he be Uncle Josh? What?
Yeah.
Joshua. He travels 100 to 200 kilometers daily, mainly in the metro, but also to nearby towns. He needs a bakkie with good load capacity, reliability, fuel efficiency, and low maintenance costs. He seeks advice on the best models and key factors like durability, longevity, and potential issues. I know 2 vehicles I would recommend, but you gentlemen, give us your thoughts on it.
Well, I would go for the Hyundai H100. I think
Dan,
it's
one of the vehicles.
one of the
Delivery
best
vehicles.
bakkies
Yes.
that in terms of delivery and capacity.
It's a
because
1.2 tons, eh?
It's
Not
bigger.
a 1 ton, yeah.
The nice thing about the H100, it does come basically with that flatbed that you would have to
Yeah.
put on a standard bakkie.
To load.
You can fold the sides
Fold it
down, you
out,
can
yeah.
load stuff.
So if you really want to load big things, definitely one of those.
Yeah.
And I mean, for that budget, you can almost buy 2.
Yeah. So the other option is if you're
No,
buying
the
like a...
H100 has gone a bit expensive now, eh?
Is it?
Yeah, it's about 380 to 400K a van now.
So the thing is you can buy one with a 5-year warranty and everything.
Yes.
So if your budget's 550, you can actually add in
A canopy
extended
on
the
top.
warranty. Well, if you want a canopy, but most of the furniture guys don't have canopies because, one day you've got a fridge and the next day you've got a couch.
something, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
You know,
it's a great thing to look at. The other thing to look at is if you buy something like an Isuzu KB250 diesel. Solid, really, really good bakkie. But the problem is you have to take back of the bakkie and put a flatbed on it
Oh.
so that you can load the
You know,
furniture easier.
Even better, Adam, the P series single cab.
Yes,
It's got a
was about to
huge
mention that.
load bin.
Yeah.
Yes,
You don't have to take anything off.
yeah.
Yeah.
Its sides are slightly higher, but I'm sure you wouldn't mind loading things in there.
Yeah,
And because that load bin, I'll take a look at that load bin. I had to look at it twice.
that is a great suggestion. The single cab P series
Yes.
probably has one of the largest load bins.
Load bins I've ever seen.
The only problem is, compared to like an H100, is the H100, you can fold the sides down. It makes it so much easier to
To load.
load and unload your stuff.
Sure.
One other to
H100
throw in
is
there.
higher.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, true.
It's
you have
higher.
To lift it higher.
You have to lift your stuff higher if you're going to load
So
stuff.
yeah, you have a flat platform,
Yeah.
Yes.
but you have to lift it higher
Forklift.
to get there.
Forklift. You buy a forklift as well with a chain.
And then also H100 is as slow as time.
Yeah. So, because it's slow as well, one other vehicle to throw in there, which is, I think, excellent, and we don't see many of them around, and there should be more of them. You see the Kia 2700s. Don't buy
Oh,
them.
yes, don't buy them. There's a
Why?
reason people don't buy.
Buy the 2500, which is the same engine as the Hyundai H1. Strong, bulletproof, loads of power because it's a 2.5 turbo diesel as opposed to a 2.7 donkey. And now you get the same spaces that you would in as an H1. It's basically the same back. You can actually swap them over. They're the same thing. You get the fold down sides, easy to load. So
And it
there's
goes from 57 to 63 kilowatts.
no. It actually goes. It's got a 6-speed box as opposed to a 5-speed box. It'll sit on the highway all day long at 120.
All
So if you're loading it up, it's got more than enough power. It's, I think, a great vehicle. I think there should be more of them on the market. You're getting a great warranty with that car as well. So there's 3 good ones: H100, Kia 2500, not the 2700, and the GWM P series. We'll be taking a short break, but when we get back, we assist a viewer who's unsure whether their vehicle requires a gearbox oil change.
And we take a closer look at a Nissan Qashqai experiencing rough idling. Welcome back to Buyer's Guide. Eleonora owns a 2014 VW Beetle with 18,000 kilometers on the clock. She seeks guidance on whether a gearbox oil change is necessary for this vehicle, and if so, at what mileage should it be performed at. Gentlemen, let's just make clear that this gearbox is a DSG gearbox.
Yeah, but it's 10 years old. Martin, do you do an oil change on a 10-year-old car?
Normally, yes, but not at 18,000 kilometers.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, this is the dual clutch, dry dual clutch. So it's not like that transmission fluid really gets up to a lot of hard work.
But the mechatronic
Yeah.
oil in the mechatronic unit,
At that mileage.
I don't know if it's the mileage or the time, because I'm sure there's deterioration in the oil over
There
that
would be-
length of
There
time.
would be, and in the wiring harness, we discussed this
To make it simple, Porky, so what do you think?
I would say do it.
Yeah.
Because oil loses viscosity.
And it's not
because
expensive.
because of time, and it's not expensive oil. This one.
They're problematic gearboxes, so any
Well-
maintenance that you can do on the car won't do it any harm, so go ahead and do it. It's simple.
It's about a liter.
No,
A
it's-
liter, 1.5 liters for
Yeah.
The problem isn't,
mechatronic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the problem isn't really the DSG fluid or the filter, it's the labor to get to it.
Yeah.
But I think while that's open, find out what other preventative maintenance can be done to
Yeah.
these DQ200 boxes. I suspect they will also have a wiring harness and an ECU submerged in oil,
And the mechatronic plate.
and the mechatronic units. And so if there's anything that can be serviced inside that thing,
Do it.
even at 18,000 Ks, do it.
Yeah,
You know, I can give even better advice.
sell the car.
Yeah, it's got low mileage. Sell the car.
While it's still worth something. and
While
before
it's
it
still
breaks
worth
down.
something, and
Before
you
it
know,
breaks down.
yeah.
Okay,
Sell the car.
let's not go there before somebody shoots us. Okay, our last question comes from Willie. His 2007 Qashqai idles roughly, cuts out, and smells of petrol after a recent service. The dealer that services the vehicle diagnosed a sticking intake valve solenoid and suggested replacing the timing chain and valve assembly for a cost of 20,000 Rand and 800 bucks. Did I say that right?
No.
20,800 Rand.
Mm-hmm.
However, the idle improves when warm and turning on the aircon helps when cold. Willie wants to know if the diagnosis is correct, if full replacement is needed, why the aircon helps, and if the timing just needs to be resetting. It's a lot. You didn't tell us, is it diesel, is it a petrol? Yeah. I'm guessing it's a 1.2 turbo petrol.
No, 07 is before the 1.2 turbos. I think this is either a 1.6 or a 2-litre petrol.
Okay, that's the previous generation. Thank you,
Yeah.
Martin, for
It's
reading it
older.
properly, which I
It's
didn't
the
do.
first gen, so naturally aspirated petrol most likely in my
Yeah.
case, especially as because this viewer says it smells of petrol.
Yeah.
And especially after, this is one of those cars, I don't know if you have it, Pogisa. Adam and I have it regularly. Ever since you done this,
Yeah.
And no, I get a
ever
lot of
since you
those.
put air in the left rear tire,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
my fluid level in the power steering
And the cigarette lighter is not working.
not working.
And yeah.
Since you adjusted my handbrake, my tyres are worn out.
Anyway, I don't think this.
It's not a serious problem here.
This diagnosis of a timing chain and guides and
That's
things.
correct.
I don't think this is correct. Not with 82,000 k's on the clock.
Look,
The
that's why I
car that's been
suggested-
serviced with Nissan.
This is why I
But
suggested,
okay.
asked if it was a 1.2 turbo, because they are known for
Yeah.
timing chain failures.
Yeah.
On something like this, the one thing I have found, now that you corrected me in terms of the year, all those 1.6 and 2 litres, the intake manifold goes over the spark plugs.
Yeah.
You don't have access to them. So, and
You take it
they're
out.
normally replacement at 100,000 kilometres.
Yeah.
Guess
You
what
may
happened?
find with 80,000 kilometres on the dealer, goes by the recommendation of replacement at 100,000 kilometres. They haven't replaced the spark plugs. It could be something simple, like 4 new spark plugs resolves the problem.
Or
Or
seal on the intake manifold, because you have to dismantle the intake
Yes.
manifold. Maybe the spark plugs have been
Replaced, and now it's
and
sucking
now
air.
it's sucking air on the intake
And
manifold.
that's why
The
you're
fact-
smelling fuel
That's why it's smelling fuel.
And
And
the
the fact
rough
that
idle.
and the rough idle.
the rough idle and the fact that when you turn on the aircon and the
Holds
throttle
it.
What
valve
happens?
opens,
The throttle,
and it
yes,
smooths out.
increases the idle.
That tells me there's a vacuum leak somewhere on that system.
Yeah.
You see, this is what happens when we're having a discussion, because I'm saying, well, the spark plugs, because they're under the intake manifold,
Yeah.
and you quite correctly said, maybe somebody took it off before and didn't seal it properly.
Yeah.
So what I would do here is they really need to diagnose this properly. And to
Yeah.
check if it's got an air leak is a very simple thing. They can just check the short-term fuel trims and they'll see straight away
Yeah.
if it's an air leak.
Well, they'll do what
That's
Adam
technical.
does. Use a smoke test.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
The fact
We'll see
that
where
it-
it's coming
the
out.
fact
Smoke
that
test, see where's it
smooths
leaking.
out when the engine's up to temperature.
Things expand and,
Yes.
and close
See
up.
what's
again.
Again, tells me there's a
Leak.
on that intake system somewhere between the airflow meter and the cylinder head. Somewhere it's sucking air.
So basically what we're saying
I
is-
went with the leak because as soon as he says when the aircon,
Yeah.
is, I'm like, it's a leak.
Yeah, this is a vacuum leak.
Yeah.
It's just like, and the fuel smell,
Yeah.
because there's insufficient air,
Yeah.
there's more fuel.
Oh,
That's where you're getting
Yeah.
your fuel
And when you
smell
switch
from.
on the aircon, obviously,
Obviously,
right,
it increases
must go
your
up.
idle.
and
So
if there's a
it's-
vacuum leak as well, the manifold pressure sensor will see a higher
Fuel.
airflow rate, so
Yeah.
it will add more fuel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the bottom line here is find a different dealership to look at this car. because
Yes.
these
Get it
people
properly
are trying to
diagnosed.
take you for
Yeah.
a ride.
It's difficult because as you've watched this conversation between the four of us here, we're all throwing in bits and pieces, and this is exactly the kind of thing that happens in the workshop. It should happen. You should have a
Should happen
discussion
in the
amongst the
workshop.
technicians. What do you think? Check things properly. If you have a problem with the timing chain, you should get error codes that say correlation between crankshaft and camshaft.
Crankshaft and
Correct.
camshaft
Which
sensor.
means things aren't synchronized.
Not to mention a terrible death rattle from a cold start.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, that thing will sound like a diesel. for
So
like
I
this.
think here the dealer has got it wrong.
Yeah.
I think you need to find somebody else to diagnose the car, or send it back to them and tell them to check this thing properly.
I think this dealer
Especially when
needs
they-
to make his monthly budget.
Especially when they're
He
quoting you
wants to make it for
20,000.
one customer only.
20,000 rand for a...
Upselling.
What did I say? 20,800. I sound
Yes.
like Uncle Jacob.
Yes, you sound exactly like Uncle Jacob.
Listen carefully now.
Listen
carefully. Properly. Okay, so we all agree. Take it back to the dealer or find another dealer to actually find that problem. We think there's 4 of us against 1 of them. They got it wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oof, oof, oof. You can see we're getting sued for that. And with that, we've come to the end of this week's show. Thank you, Pokhiso and Martin, for joining us. And as usual, all your excellent advice. Thank
Yeah,
you.
even I've learned something today. Okay, until next time, my guys. Please, 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 buckle up, stay safe, respect the other drivers on the road. You do not own the road.